What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I got a good one for you guys today. We're going to get into the judiciary. And, you know, what is going on with the judicial right now is quite insane, as a matter of fact. Check this out. I'm going to read the headline, then we'll fluff this out a little bit. Judge says Justice Department attacked her character to impugn the integrity of the U.S. judicial system. Did they? Or did you guys act in a childish way and then they just point out facts? I wonder which one it is. What is going on right now is going to determine the course of this country. This is why I'm so behind Donald Trump right now, because what is so fascinating about all this is if you look back in the historical records, right, all the presidents, every president has deported criminal aliens, essentially. But you know what is actually going on right now with the judicial system is they are trying to stop Donald Trump from deporting criminal aliens. We have laws on the books. Oh, hang on. We need to work out to make sure that the federal government, Trump's administration, isn't breaking any laws. So they put blocks on everything, stopping him from deporting criminal aliens. Now, look, I get it. That's checks and balances at work. But some of these judges in some of these districts, they are trying to rule outside of their authority. That, my friends, is a major, major problem. Once again, you know, you go to the corporate press, the mainstream news, they're constantly yelling.
So I just left a town hall meeting with my House Representative, Nadler. And essentially, we're cooked. All he's saying is we're in a constitutional crisis, and the only thing that we can do is take to the streets.
Well, hang on. It's these judges and Democrats that are actually creating the constitutional crisis. Because think about this. Bill Clinton fired a bunch of federal workers back in the 90s when they balanced the budget. That was partly why they were able to balance the budget. We didn't get that many lawsuits back then, actually. Sure, he had some lawsuits to try to stop him, but it wasn't to this level. It wasn't near this level. And as a matter of fact, they got rid of a lot. I think it was like 400,000 federal employees. Right, and so far, Donald Trump hasn't even come close to that number yet. And the federal government is much, much larger. It's almost twice the size it was back then. Almost twice the size. That's insane. As a matter of fact, I think it's over twice. But that's neither here nor there. So what is actually going on is these judges ruling outside of their authority to be able to rule. That is the problem. That's what they're getting called out on. They're not impugning anybody's character. You know, Donald Trump might be, but I do believe in these situations he has every right to, because what sense does it make to have an outside group, right? A non-governmental organization, you know, 501(c), some nonprofit or something like that, sue the government to stop the government from doing its job. Right? We're supposed to have government watchdogs that make sure the government is conducting its duties under the Constitution. Make sure it's fulfilling its duties constitutionally, in other words. Right? Make sure it's not breaking the law. Right? There's watchdogs to do all this. Right? You don't have to sue the government to make sure they do this all on the up and up, to make sure everything is legal. But they are suing to stop it. They're putting injunctions on these, right? Which is nuts. Why stop it? Why not just ensure that doing it the right way? I don't get that one. That one's funny to me. But let's get into this right quick, because this is fascinating. A federal judge accused the Justice Department on Wednesday of attacking her character in an effort to undermine the integrity of the judicial system, forcefully pushing back against the Trump administration's criticisms of the court for rulings that blocked parts of the president's agenda. Yeah, and why are they blocking parts of the president's agenda? Like, this is something else that doesn't make any sense. Trump won overwhelmingly. It may have not been a 49-state landslide, but when 87% of all counties in the United States shifted toward Donald Trump, And Donald Trump ran on a platform of deporting criminal aliens, bringing back manufacturing, making America great again, making sure, blah, 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 blah. I could go on forever. Why are these people stopping those main few things? That doesn't make any sense to me. These people should take that into account because he's clearly not breaking the law. If he breaks the law, hold him accountable. But you don't stop somebody and say, oh, they might be breaking the law. That's not how the law works, right? You don't stop somebody that might be speeding. No, you stop them because they were speeding. I'm just saying, I know I'm just throwing that out there. I just thought of that off the top of my head, but it's just weird. Just so weird what's going on right now. And we know what it's for. We know why. They just want to stop Donald Trump from doing anything and everything. They want to make sure, like Chuck Schumer even said it, we want to make sure his popularity is in the gutter to make sure they get back into power. That's what they want. But in doing so, they are screwing themselves because people can see what's going on. People don't get their news just from the corporate press anymore. These people are stuck in the past. They can go to places like me and see, hang on, we're going to read all the way through the news and we're going to figure out everything that's going on, and we're going to see that the Democrats are absolutely lying on this, and Donald Trump is not an evil orange man. He is actually imposing the will of the American voter onto the federal government to force the federal government to do its damn job. It's insane. None of these same judges tried to stop Joe Biden from importing criminal aliens. Nobody tried to stop Joe Biden. Say nobody. A couple of people did, right? A couple of Republicans with a backbone actually tried to stop Joe Biden. But once again, you look at all the injunctions against all the previous presidents from Barack Obama all the way up. And you can see a pattern here. It's insane, y'all. It really is. U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell's comments came in an order denying the Justice Department's bid to remove her from a case over an executive order punishing a prominent law firm. The Trump administration had asked for the case to be moved to another judge in Washington's federal court, accusing Howell of demonstrating a pattern of hostility toward the Republican president. You love how the corporate press does this, and it's a manipulation tactic. They say punishing a prominent law firm. Well, come to find out, that prominent law firm was behind the Russian collusion hoax. So, yeah, they were never held to account, as a matter of fact. So, punishment is necessary at this point. Because, once again, do we have a country of laws or don't we? Because, there's been a lot of actions by a lot of Democrats that have broken the law that the population knows about. And when we see things that nobody gets held to account for these actions, right? Nobody, absolutely nobody was held to account over the Afghanistan withdrawal. Nobody was held to account for Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness for violating, right? There was none of this uproar from the corporate press when Joe Biden violated the Supreme Court ruling and defied that order and went ahead and, forgave those loans anyway. No corporate press outlet was like, oh my God, it's a constitutional crisis. There was no NGOs, no civil rights groups suing the Biden administration. None of that happened. It was crickets. The only time you heard, oh, Joe Biden violated a Supreme Court order was through places like this. That's the only place you heard it. Nobody said anything about any of that. Every time Joe Biden did something illegal, you didn't hear about it from the corporate press. So there was no constitutional crisis. But now Donald Trump comes in and starts doing his job, his agenda under the Constitution. All of a sudden, constitutional crisis. It's totally fabricated by the people that are making the accusation. Once again, every accusation is a confession when it comes to Democrats and the corporate press. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd. When the U.S. Department of Justice engages in this rhetorical strategy of ad hominem attack, the stakes become much larger than only the reputation of the targeted federal judge, wrote Howell, who was appointed to the federal bench by Democratic President Barack Obama. Imagine that. They had to throw that in there, didn't they? That's, in case you're new around here, that's a pet peeve of mine. Every time they say that such and such judge was appointed by such and such president. I don't know why that's important to the article. Have no idea. Blows my mind. But this strategy is designed to impugn the integrity of the federal judicial system and blame any loss on the decision maker rather than fallacies in the substantive legal arguments presented. Lies. Right, once again, when a federal judge is ruling outside of its authority, trying to direct airplanes flying in international waters to turn around and come back. I'm sorry, my guy, you just don't have that authority to do so. When Donald Trump invokes the Alien Enemies Act, there is absolutely zero recourse from the judiciary branch to stop him from doing so. But we are currently living through an injunction stopping him from doing so. What sense does this make? Now can you kind of see why? Like, I understand their desperate pleas because they want these criminal aliens here for some reason. I don't know why. But once again, you can't break the law, rule outside of your authority to stop Donald Trump from carrying out his constitutional duties. It's absurd. It's the latest development in the Trump administration's battle with the judiciary over legal setbacks to his sweeping executive action around immigration and other matters. Once again, like I have to always throw in there, did they try to stop Joe Biden, Barack Obama, who is the deporter-in-chief? Was any of this a crisis under Obama? No, it wasn't. No, it absolutely wasn't. So that right there should make you sit back and think, something weird is going on here. It's either the Trump administration is breaking laws left and right, or we have some deranged federal activists on the circuit who are just put there to stop him.
There are those who believe that we are in real time living through an assault on the constitutional order. Do you believe that we are in a constitutional crisis right now?
Yes, our democracy is at risk because Donald Trump shows that he wishes to violate the laws in many, many different ways. The good news here is we did put 235 judges, progressive judges, judges not under the control of Trump last year on the bench, and they are ruling against Trump time after time after time. And we hope that the appellate courts, when it gets up there, and the Supreme Court will uphold those rulings. They restored the money to NIH. They required that 8,000 federal employees have to come back. We're in over 100 lawsuits against them, and we are having a good deal of success. It's only at the lower court level right now.
Yeah, that is Chuck Schumer absolutely telling us, giving the game away, that they put 235 or however many judges that was, and they are not under the control of Donald Trump. You love how he says that, oh, they're not under the control of Donald Trump. No, they're progressive judges. They're activist judges. Judges, like, once again, this is how he's giving the game away, because judges should not be progressive. They should not be conservative. They interpret the law how it is meant to be interpreted and mitigate the law. The actions of the plaintiffs, the actions of the defendant, blah, 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 blah. They interpret the law how the law is worded. That is it. They are not supposed to be partisan at all. Now, I understand, I'm not so naive to think that people don't have their own biases, right? But that should not weigh on any decision under the Constitution, is what I'm trying to get at. Just because these people don't like that Donald Trump is deporting criminal aliens, that doesn't mean you can find some legal loophole to try to stop him. Just because these flights took off before you came down with your order doesn't mean you have the right to stop everything that was going on and investigate this and try to claim he violated your orders. No. And I'm sorry, when it's pointed out that you're being a partisan hack, as an activist judge. Now you want to cry foul? Now you want to cry, oh, they're impugning my character? I'm sorry. You impugned your own character through your actions. It has nothing to do with what they say. They're just telling you what they did. They're giving your own actions back to you on a silver platter, and you can't take it. That's all there is to say about that, to be honest. These people are nuts, y'all. The Trump administration has ramped up its criticism of judges in recent weeks, accusing the judiciary of improperly impinging on the president's powers, which it has. Trump has called for impeaching another Washington federal court judge who ruled against the president's deportation plans. Yes, like, are we a nation of borders? That's what I would have to ask. Don't we deport criminals, criminal aliens? Yes, we do. We deport people who came into this country illegally. So what is all the hubbub with all this, oh, we got to stop him, we got to make sure they get due process, which, by the way, the due process is, are you a citizen of this country? Yes? No? If it's yes, then we have a problem here. If it's no, then that's it. You get deported. That is it. Under the law. It's insane. Howell said the Trump administration's claims of ongoing improper encroachments of Trump's executive power sounds like a talking point from a member of Congress rather than a legal brief from the United States Department of Justice. Once again, every accusation is a confession. She knows she's an activist judge, so now she's accusing the Justice Department of, oh, that's just talking points. We weren't actually encroaching on the president's power, and that's what the corporate press is trying to make sure you know. They weren't actually encroaching. What they're saying is lies. Okay. Sure. Funny. Furthermore, it reflects a grave misapprehension of our constitutional order, she wrote. Right. Adjudicating whether an executive branch exercise of power is legal or not is actually the job of federal courts and not the president or the Department of Justice. Through vigorous and rigorous defense of executive actions is both expected and helpful to the courts in resolving legal issues, she wrote. Yes, this all sounds sane, right? But when you look at the particulars of the situations, yeah, they're not doing anything wrong here. So where's the blood clot? Howell was the chief judge of Washington's federal court during special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, and in that capacity ruled that the House of Representatives was entitled to secret grand jury testimony for its own inquiry into Trump. Oh, there we go. The Trump administration also cited Howell's comment calling Trump's characterization of the January 6 criminal cases a revisionist myth, and it pointed to a ruling from Howell ordering a Trump lawyer to answer additional questions before a grand jury investigating Trump's handling of classified documents found at his Mar-a-Lago estate. All of those were hoaxes, by the way. Right, well, you know, the last one and the first one were a hoax. The second one was... yeah, that's not a revisionist myth, by the way. Yeah, we'll call that a hoax, too, because we know for a fact that the vast majority of January 6 defendants did not get due process. So, once again, I would ask this same federal judge, where was the outcry over this? Where was the injunctions over all these American citizens, actual American citizens, having their due process rights violated en masse, being thrown in prison with no charges, no court dates, sat there for a couple of years before they got court dates? It's absurd, y'all. It really is. These people are insane, and they're trying to make you believe that they're on the right side of history. Well, you know, history is going to prove you otherwise, because once again, dig into all the particulars of all these cases, yeah, the Russian collusion hoax was a hoax, as a matter of fact. And they knew it was a hoax. Of course, this judge might not have known it was a hoax. But once it was found out it was a hoax, yeah, I think she should recuse herself from this. I think the Justice Department, you know, yeah, it might be a little bit petty, but it's still fair given the history of this judge. Given the history, she should recuse herself. I said that wrong, but it is what it is. The Justice Department has argued that reasonable observers may view Howell as unable to impartially rule on the meritless challenges to the president's efforts to implement the agenda that the American people elected him to carry out. This court has not kept its disdain for President Trump secret, Justice Department lawyers wrote. It has voiced its thoughts loudly both inside and outside the courtroom. Howell said the administration's bid to get a new judge relies only on speculation, innuendo, and basic legal disagreements that provide no basis for disqualification. Is that so? Well, once again, once you look into the facts, yeah, I think this judge is being an activist and needs to go bye-bye. Move it to another district, move it to another judge. They have this ability. We already learned earlier today that Boasberg just so happens, right? It's supposed to be random choice. Every time a case comes in, it randomly goes to a judge. Just random, right? Well, the last 4 that has gone to that specific district that Judge Boasberg is in, which he is the chief of, has gone to him. 4 in a row. That is a statistical impossibility. Statistically impossible. But it randomly happened. No, it didn't. Sorry. The game is rigged against the Trump administration. And once again, Chuck Schumer, with his loud mouth, let us know blatantly. Howell earlier this month temporarily blocked the Trump administration from enforcing portions of the executive order targeting the law firm Perkins Coie. The punishment arises, once again, the corporate press, not being biased, calls it a punishment, arises from the firm's hiring of Fusion GPS, a research and intelligence firm, to conduct opposition research on then-candidate Trump's potential ties to Russia. Oh, that's what they're going after them for. And you notice they put that all the way back into the very, very end of the news article. And once again, considering the fact that this judge was involved in the Russian collusion hoax, was part of the problem, I guess you could call it, and then the law firm has the lawsuit against them was also part of the Russian collusion hoax. Considering that is a clear conflict of interest. Clearly. So, just that right there, that judge should be taken off the case. Given all the other statements, given all the other facts that she's been tied to, yeah, once again, I'm going to take the Justice Department's side on this one. I totally agree. Most of these judges, once again, y'all, in case y'all think I'm just some guy that, I'm just a partisan guy and I like Trump. No, that's not it. The reason I keep calling these judges activists is because the entirety of the Biden administration, like kind of before I started doing this and while I was still doing this, I don't do it much anymore because I don't have a whole hell of a lot of time, but that's all I used to watch is Senate confirmation hearings, other House committee hearings, blah, 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 blah. I used to watch a lot of that because I was fascinated by the process, and I like to know what's going on in the federal government, in the legislative branch. I like to know what's going on. But I watched confirmation hearing after confirmation hearing after confirmation hearing, and the sheer amount of activist judges that were actually nominated, went through the confirmation process, and were confirmed was absurd. Hearing the records from some of these people, right? Like, I wish I would have kept clips from a lot of these because there would be so many clips I could play. I could probably put a 4 or 5 hour video clip after this of just nothing but activist judges getting railed against by Republicans at these confirmation hearings for being activists, as a matter of fact. So that is how I know there's a bunch of activist judges on the circuit. That is not to say that there are some Republican activist judges. that are very partisan and show their true colors on the circuit. That happens, y'all. But it's not nearly to the extent that there is left-wing activist judges on the circuit. That is all Joe Biden nominated for the circuit. That is right. That is nothing but activist judges. I did not ever see one judge nominated that was not an activist judge. As a matter of fact, once again, like I said though, don't take my word for it. Take Chuck Schumer's word for it.
We are mobilizing in New York. We have people going to the Republican districts and going after these Republicans who are voting for this and forcing them to either change their vote or face the consequences. This is a long, relentless fight that we fight every day. And I am confident that we will bring Trump's popularity, numbers, and strength down if we keep at it and keep at it and keep at it.
Because they gave the game away. Him and his loud mouth. He thinks people ain't going to see that clip. He thinks people ain't going to put 2 and 6 together and say, oh, that's 8, isn't it? No, they're going to think it's 14 or something and get a totally different number. These people are insane. If they think that people can't figure out, read a little bit of between the lines of what's going on here and see that these activist judges, they are just simply put there to stop Donald Trump from carrying out his constitutionally authorized duties. That's what they are doing, actually. Because, once again, they never stopped Joe Biden from deporting anybody, which there weren't many deportations, but nevertheless, they never stopped Joe Biden from deporting criminal aliens. They never stopped Barack Obama from deporting criminal aliens. They didn't stop Trump this much during his first term. But they sure are stopping him now. They're trying to. But, you know, and it's funny too, because this is going to set up for them another win, if you will, because these people get detained. So now they're in detention. So what are we going to get? We're going to get like AOC at one of these detention centers saying, oh, we got concentration camps. We've got migrants in concentration camps over here. Every accusation is a confession with these people, y'all. But I think that's all I got on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Blows my mind. Damn it, I knew I was going to say that. I'm trying not to say that because I try to not have these little phrases I say all the time, but it's hard not to sometimes. You get into these habits, you know, we are creatures of habit, but that's neither here nor there. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.